Odyssey Jones reportedly is done with WWE after being removed from the roster page on the company's website. CM Punk has stretched out of last night's edition of Monday Night Raw after a vicious attack from Drew McIntyre. Cody Rhodes vs Solo Sikoa reportedly is not planned for the upcoming Bad Blood Premium Live event. Speaking of a live event, WWE reportedly has adjusted its WWE live event schedule with fewer domestic house shows on the horizon. The Intercontinental Championship #1 contenders fatal four-way match is scheduled for next week's episode of Raw. Sami Zayn confronts Gunther and wants a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. An injury update on Kairi Sane after she suffered a gruesome eye injury last night on Raw. The Wyatt Six are set to face off with American-made in an 8-person mixed tag team street fight next week on Raw. An update on the contractual status of WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield after recent appearances in TNA as well as AAA. Plus, Josh Alexander says that Joe Hendry failed the TNA locker room after his loss at NXT No Mercy. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the latest regarding Odyssey Jones, with a lot of confusion over his WWE status right now. Now, if you didn't see the story late last night, throughout August, a notable storyline on Raw had seen friction develop between longtime New Day members Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, largely over Kingston's friendship with fellow Raw superstar Odyssey Jones. As I mentioned, this was a storyline that was ongoing on WWE television, and as August becomes September, however, the storyline may become a thing of the past pretty quickly due to an unexpected development. On X Monday afternoon, Fightful Sean Ross Sapp revealed Jones' profile had been removed from the WWE roster page on the website. Sapp further noted that someone had messaged him yesterday suggesting that Sapp asked WWE management about any changes to Jones' status. Now, WWE talent Sapp had spoken to was surprised to see Jones off the roster page, and later an update confirmed Jones wasn't at last night's Raw tapings, though his overall status with WWE remained uncertain. Now, although Jones had garnered recent notoriety thanks to being in this storyline with Woods and Kingston, getting on TV had previously been a struggle for the 30-year-old. After being drafted to the main roster back in the spring of 2023, Jones proceeded to wrestle no matches on television, instead being confined to house shows and dark matches. Prior to August, his last match in 2024 had occurred during a Road to WrestleMania Tour live event match on March 31st, where he was defeated by fellow Seldom Seen star Amer. Now, when it comes to a bit of an update on his status, it doesn't look good for the former NXT star. Now, Jones, as I mentioned, had been involved in this storyline with the New Day, and despite appearing with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods on recent episodes of Raw, he was missing from last week's episode, the August 26th episode, and once again at last night's show in Denver, Colorado, he was also missing. Now, Dave Meltzer has provided an update on Jones' WWE status on Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, quote, "I've asked around, and if it had been any kind of glitch or something, obviously by now it would have been corrected or have been found out that it was just a glitch. I'm relatively certain he's done, but it has not been confirmed anywhere. I've heard a bunch of stories, but nothing that I would say is confirmed, but it looks like he is no longer with the company. His angle's done, no mention on the show, no clips on like if he's injured or something, no acknowledgement of him at all. You know, Kofi Kingston was on, and there's no acknowledgement of what they've been doing, so he's off, he's gone." Now again, at the time of this recording, Odyssey Jones doesn't appear on the WWE alumni roster page, and as previously reported, he's neither on the WWE Raw or main superstar page. Of course, we get any more details on official confirmation on his status, but according to Dave Meltzer, he could possibly be done with the company. Now, switching to Raw last night, CM Punk was stretchered out after a vicious attack from Drew McIntyre. Now, CM Punk was on Raw last night. He cut a promo in the ring, clearly hoping to move on from his feud with Drew McIntyre after his victory at Bash in Berlin, and he actually called out World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. Clearly not ready to put their feud to rest, though, a hooded man would attack CM Punk from behind at ringside. The hooded figure would quickly be revealed to be Drew McIntyre, with a further physical altercation ensuing, with McIntyre getting the better of CM Punk. McIntyre would deliver such a powerful claymore on the outside of the ring that it literally took Punk out of his shoes, with a wayward Night Dunk high top sneaker left behind as he was thrown into the ring. Despite Wade Barrett attempting to stop him, McIntyre would not be deterred as he delivered another claymore to Punk in the ring. Crouched over Punk, McIntyre vowed that it will never be over, and while he stood over a battered CM Punk, Drew did in fact snatch back the beaded bracelet that has become emblematic of their feud. However, instead of taking it, he simply snapped it in half as the beads fell on Punk, with more shoved in his mouth by McIntyre. McIntyre would fight through producers and referees again to deliver a claymore to Punk, who grasped at his throat as if he were choking on the aforementioned beads. In the end, a stretcher was ushered out for CM Punk, whilst Drew McIntyre walked off without a hint of remorse, rather still scowling. After the commercial break, CM Punk was shown on a stretcher being taken to an ambulance when Drew McIntyre popped up again. After attacking Punk again, this time outside by the ambulance, McIntyre gouged at Punk's eyes and delivered blows as Punk appeared to be bleeding from the mouth. Now, it has been rumored we could possibly get a Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood. That's not yet been confirmed, but we could be on the way if last night's attack is anything to go by. Now, speaking of Bad Blood, many have wondered what Cody Rhodes is going to be doing at the event. Well, it looks like one thing he won't be doing is facing off against Solo Sikoa. Now, Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa faced each other at SummerSlam on August 3rd, 2024 in a Bloodline Rules match, which brought about the return of Roman Reigns, with Rhodes retaining the undisputed WWE Championship at Bash in Berlin against Kevin Owens. Sikoa made it clear that he wanted a match with the winner of that match, with it later being confirmed by WWE that Rhodes would respond to the Tribal Chief's offer on this week's episode of SmackDown, that being the September 6th episode. While many assume this would result in a match being booked for WWE Bad Blood on October 5th, that may not be what the company has in store. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer stated that we won't be getting the rematch at WWE Bad Blood specifically, but it is still in the company's plans. Quote, "From what I was told, Cody and Solo are not scheduled for Bad Blood. I don't know when that match is going to be. They are obviously on Friday's show going to set up a match." So reportedly, that's not going to be the case. It looks like that planned main event for the show could be McIntyre and Punk inside Hell in a Cell. Now, an interesting story here when it comes to WWE's live event schedule, quite dramatically changing. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, WWE's live event schedule has caught some eyes as there are noticeably fewer domestic house shows on the horizon than previously. On episodes of Fightful's The Hump this summer, Sean Ross Sapp noted that there looked to be a drastic change in WWE's live events approach towards the end of the year. As of now, WWE has only 2 house shows in America listed before Christmas, that being September 28th in Columbus, Georgia, and September 29th in Huntsville, Alabama. The December 28th Orlando house show that goes head-to-head in the same city with AEW World's End pay-per-view is listed, and Fightful have been told the holiday tour will continue as it's a huge money-maker for the company. However, there is a UK live event leg in October and then another in November. This allows the August run in Europe, July in Japan and Mexico, as well as April and May in Europe. This is a big step up from international house shows last year, which talent expect to continue. Though talent haven't explicitly been told that house shows are being cut back, they've noticed the trends and have unanimously told Fightful they're in favour of the reduced schedule. WWE had previously looked at scaling back house shows before the pandemic as well. Fightful say they're working to gain some additional reactions on the schedule, but right now talent expect more international house show dates compared to domestic. As of now, WWE has no United States house shows listed for a nearly 90-day period after the Huntsville show. Of course, we get any more details on official confirmations on a change in strategy by WWE, of course, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, the Intercontinental Championship, Bron Breakker is getting closer to finding out who his future opponent is going to be. Monday's episode of Raw saw 2 electrifying qualifying matches for the Intercontinental Championship #1 Contenders Tournament. Ilya Dragunov and Braun Strowman joined Jey Uso and Pete Dunne in a #1 Contenders Fatal 4-Way match for Bron Breakker's title opportunity, set for next Monday's episode of Raw. The first qualifying match of the evening saw Dragunov take on Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio. Both Lee and Dragunov shifted control of the match, and Lee was about to perform a risky top rope maneuver to secure his place at the forefront of the battle. However, former LWO member Carlito pushed Lee off the top rope. Carlito's actions, however, elicited the ire of Damian Priest. After Priest disposed of Carlito, he turned his sights onto Mysterio. Priest then gave chase to his recent Bash in Berlin opponent and chased Mysterio out of the arena mid-match. Dragunov and Lee continued to fight in a now apparent singles contest, and after an intense tug-of-war fight, Dragunov landed a clean H-bomb for the victory. Denver came alive for the second qualifying match of the night. Braun Strowman, who was replacing Big Bronson Reed after the latter came down with COVID-19, entered the ring with athletic tape littered across his chest and ribs to take on Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, of course, after the tsunami onto a car last week. Strowman plowed through Sheamus and Kaiser on the outside of the ring, but found himself barreling straight through the barriers. Sheamus controlled most of the match and was moments away from progressing in the tournament when Pete Dunne appeared, armed with a shillelagh and a taste for revenge. Dunne incapacitated Sheamus, which allowed Strowman to power slam a downed Kaiser for the victory. Shortly before his match alongside Priest, Breakker confronted Jey Uso and beckoned him to withdraw from the match. Uso refused to withdraw, and the two had a tense face-off before Uso's bout. So that match is set to take place next week. Now, Gunther may have found his next opponent for the World Heavyweight Championship, and it may be a familiar foe that ended his record-breaking Intercontinental Championship reign. Last night's Raw seemed to set up the next opponent for the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, as a star returned after just weeks away. Gunther would make his way to the ring on last night's Raw, still carrying his championship on his shoulder, as he retained against Randy Orton this past Saturday in Germany. However, his Bash in Berlin celebration was shortened by an appearance from Sami Zayn. He named some of the greats of professional wrestling and noted that one thing they shared in common is they used the Intercontinental Championship as a proving ground on the way to winning a world title. Sami Zayn would go on to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, noting it was an accolade he had yet to accomplish. While Gunther would tell Zayn simply no in response, he was stopped by Zayn, who taunted him as he left the ring. With Zayn ending on a note that he was the only one to defeat Gunther thus far, he will do it again to become world champion. So it looks like Sami Zayn versus Gunther is set to take place in the future, even though Gunther last night said no to facing off against Zayn for the title. A bit of an update here when it comes to Kairi Sane after some concern after she suffered a quite gruesome injury last night on Raw. Now, the September 2nd episode of Raw saw Damage Control take on Unholy Union with current Women's Tag Team Champions at ringside. Now, again, it was a pretty back and forth match. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair may have been watching from ringside, but it didn't see them immune from action. With Kairi Sane hitting a dive on Belair, it would be Cargill who would level the Damage Control member in retaliation. All the in-ring action saw Unholy Union come out victorious with Damage Control and the team of Bianca Belair and Cargill staring at each other post-match. Now, Zayn didn't come out of the match injury-free, however, as demonstrated in a photo that she shared on Twitter. You can see on the screen right there, she took quite a hit in the eye region of her face, leaving a bloody reminder of the evening's events. It was reported by PW Insider that Zayn had suffered the injury after hitting the announce table during the dive to the outside. The report would go on to note that the Damage Control member had received stitches backstage after the match. Asuka would reply to the image with a supportive message, writing, quote, "I'm glad you're okay. Nice Damage Control." Zayn would respond to Asuka's support with a message of her own, posting, "I did the Damage Control myself. I miss you so much." So it looks like Kairi Sane is going to be fine. I spoke next week. We've got that number one contenders Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way match. We've also got a big street fight. A match with a hardcore stipulation was set for next week during Monday's episode of Raw, following American Made's victory against the Alpha Academy. American Made, featuring the Creed brothers, Ivy Nile and Chad Gable, will be taking on a combination of the Wyatt Six in an 8-person mixed tag team match next week. And Gable announced it will be a street fight after Nile tapped out Maxine Dupree for the victory over Alpha Academy in the first match of the evening. Gable got on the microphone at ringside and he called his stable the greatest fighting family in all of WWE. He said his match against Uncle Howdy in the main event of last week's show was supposed to be a classic one-on-one match, but Howdy's freak show family got involved. Gable said he was about to get the rest of American Made involved and called out Howdy for the match next week. The lights then went out and Howdy appeared on the stage. Howdy said it had been 375 days since his sanity crumbled, mentioning the death of his brother Bray Wyatt. He said his path is in the void now and his life is no longer his. Howdy said that if this is the path that Gable has chosen, it would be his undoing and the Wyatt Six will collect the dead. The rest of the family came out to pose on the ramp with Howdy as they stared down American Made, who all remained in the ring. So that match is set up for next week. Now, many people have wondered just what is going on with John Layfield at the moment. He's made several appearances outside of WWE for GCW, for AAA, for TNA Wrestling as well. So is he even still under contract with WWE? Now, as I mentioned, over the past few weeks, WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield has made a number of surprise appearances outside of WWE, of him appearing at recent AAA, TNA, and GCW shows, among others. With JBL's recent appearances, it has led to some questions in regards to his WWE status and if he still had a contract with the company. In an update from PW Insider, JBL is still currently under a Legends deal with the company that would allow him to appear elsewhere so long as he doesn't violate any of WWE's intellectual property, which is why he has not been using the Bradshaw name during his appearances. WWE is said to have no issue with Layfield making outside appearances, seeing as it's no different to other WWE Hall of Famers appearing elsewhere. In regards to JBL's future and a potential return to the ring at some point down the line, PW Insider was not able to confirm either way whether that would be the case. But he has appeared, as mentioned, with Nick Nemeth a couple of times, so it looks like this storyline could continue between the two, not only in TNA, but also on these other independent shows. And finally, speaking of TNA, the rivalry between Josh Alexander and Joe Hendry looks to be heating up. Despite the fans who packed themselves into the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, believing in him, Joe Hendry left NXT No Mercy on September 1st empty-handed. Hendry attempted to wrestle the NXT Championship away from Ethan Page in the show's main event, all while Trick Williams acted as the special guest referee. However, Page walked away victorious, meaning that Hendry would return to TNA Wrestling without gold around his waist. Well, when it comes to all of this, there was a bit of a response from maybe his biggest critic and foe. Now, while Hendry did TNA proud by main eventing one of NXT's biggest premium live events of the year, not everyone was overly disappointed with him losing to Page. One of those stars was Josh Alexander, the former TNA World Champion and former tag team partner of Page as part of the North, who took to his X account to voice his pleasure. He said, quote, "At Joe Hendry, congrats. You failed yourself and the entire TNA locker room you were representing. See you back on Thursdays." Now, as I mentioned, this rivalry has continued because Alexander has his own problems with Hendry in TNA, with Alexander crushing all the dreams of Hendry's believers around the world as he eliminated the Scotsman from the six-man elimination match for the TNA World Championship at the company's Slammiversary pay-per-view. Ironically, Alexander has yet to capture the TNA World Championship as he recently lost a 60-minute Iron Man match to Nick Nemeth at the company's Emergence event on August 30th. As for what's next for Hendry, he will return to TNA Wrestling knowing that he will always be welcomed back to NXT at any point. Nothing has been announced as to when his next appearance for either company will be, but given that the working relationship between NXT and TNA looks set to continue following names appearing at the recent TNA television tapings, one could expect we could possibly see Hendry back on NXT television, but also possibly Josh Alexander linking back up with Ethan Page to possibly reunite the North. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.